Hello, and welcome to the Get Real With It podcast. My first episode, growing up, it's not just, age or era or whatever you would like to call it, evolve into a different person every day. Crazy to me. Okay, hello, and welcome to the Get Real With It podcast with me, myself, and I as your host, Ariana, where I give you my unfiltered opinions and my very much so unprofessional advice. Like, seriously, do not take me seriously. So, today I wanted to start my first episode with the reality of growing up. And I think this is a very broad topic because when you think about growing up, it's not just, you're leaving your childhood phase or stage or era or whatever you would like to call it and going into adulthood. No, it's also adults continue to grow up. And I think no matter what, you will continue to grow and evolve into a different person every day with every chapter and every lesson that you learn. And I did end up writing down some questions that I got sent to me. And so for me, I think this one is really good because especially since it is December and I will be entering my 20s this month, which is actually crazy to me. Insanity. I'm flabbergasted that I'm going to be entering my 20s. And when I was thinking about this the other day, I was like, wow, really? You only get 10 summers in your 20s. And you only get like, how many summers is that in your teens? 13, 14. Okay, so you only get 10 summers in your 20s and 7 summers in your teens. Like, thinking about that is crazy to me. Time is so precious, and I think a lot of times we forget that, like, even though it's like, oh yeah, like I'll do it tomorrow or I'll start next Monday. Like, if we really break it down to the nitty gritty, you only get 365 days in a year. So think about that. Every time you say, I'll do it next week, that's wasting 7 days out of 365 days. And that just kind of blew my mind, especially because I've become more into I just want to do what I want to do and I don't want to wait anymore. I'm not trying to wait for the perfect moment, or I'm not trying to wait for like, oh, when I get my apartment, or oh, when I get my new car, or when I get my nails done. No, if I want to do it then and there, I'm going to do it. Of course, I'm not going to just like get up and move across the world because I thought about it in the shower, like my 3 a.m. shower thoughts, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go move across the world. No. Like, of course, I'm gonna be logical about it to some extent. But like, if, for instance, I want to start a podcast, like here I am starting the podcast because you know what? There is never gonna be a perfect time for you to do it. And so the time just is now. Anyways, we're just gonna move on to the question that I have before I yap a little too much. So the question is, how do you deal with the growing pains, not physically, but emotional ones? So I feel like that's kind of what I was just saying when talking about growing pains, like realizing how short our time is. For me, what helps me is just really taking into consideration my time and not living off of somebody else's time. And I think that time is the most precious gift that you can give somebody because you never know how much you have of it. If you really think about it, we're all just ticking time bombs, waiting to, I don't mean to be morbid, but we're waiting to die. It could happen tomorrow, it can happen 2 minutes from now, for all we know, something crazy could happen. A comet could strike and like, but I mean, like, you just never know how much you have of it. So taking that time and being present every chance you get is really important. And I think that'll really help you because when you are growing up and you're looking back, you're not sitting there with regrets because I think that's the worst thing that you can do is when you're older and you're just looking back and you're like, God, I wish I would have done that differently. Or why didn't I take more time to spend with this person when they were here? Or, like, oh, I should have paid more attention to just general things. Like if you're on vacation, instead of looking at your phone 24/7 at the TikToks that will be there tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that and the week after that, look up, like look out the window and see the world that we live in. So I think that genuinely helps me is when I'm thinking about it, I'm just like, you know what? At least I was present. I gave my full attention to things and I was present in the moment. And, I can look back on some great memories because of it. And it just helps because I'm not saying like, I mean, of course, like every person, I have those moments where like, God, I regret that, or like, oh, I wish I didn't do that. But of course, that's part of living. You live and you learn. But as I'm growing up, I mean, I'm only 19. I've learned that I don't want to waste any more time. Now I'm getting so much more done. And I look at it as like 6 months down the road. Do I want to see 6 months of progress or do I want to see 6 months of excuse in whatever I'm doing, whether that's my career, my fitness goals, saving money, or just starting something new? I really just look at it, even the smallest little bit of progress I take it into consideration. Like, you know what? It's progress. I did something. So that's how I feel about that. Um, Another question I got was, how do you cope with feeling lost or directionless? So I definitely this is definitely something that I have felt a lot of, especially in my most recent years. I even moved to Texas because of it. Because I graduated high school in 2024. And in high school, I thought that, oh, I'm going to be a physical therapist. I'm going to study sports medicine and kinesiology. And, I'm going to work in sports the rest of my life because I was so passionate about sports. And that's just what I had lined up. That's what I was doing all those years. Like that's what I thought I wanted to do. I even got my massage license because of it in high school. And when I graduated and I took that summer and I went on a trip with my friend to LA because a lot of my family's in LA, so we stayed with my family and I took a trip to LA and I was like, wow, I love this so much. Like my godfather, we stayed with my godfather and he owns his own company. And of course, he has a lot of work, but he's able to make his own time, and he does so much. And I'm like, wow, like that's how I want to be. Like, I just want to live off of my own time. And I was thinking to myself, and I'm like, well, how am I going to get there? What do I need to do to get there? And I still went into college my freshman year. I was playing volleyball at the time. I went into college my freshman year, still studying sports medicine. I still pursued that path. But after that first semester, I was like, you know what? I need to get out of here. I need to move. I need something fresh. I need something new. I need to figure something out that's different. So I went to Texas because I also have family in Texas. I went to Texas and I stayed there for 9 months. Now, had originally started my spring semester, which was in 2025. I started it online and that didn't last very long. I was unmotivated. I did not like school at all. I was like, I don't want to go to college. I don't want to do the college route. This is not what I like. I'm literally miserable here sitting at my computer. I was thinking the worst of it. And I was freaking out even more so because I'm like, well, shoot. What is my family? And more importantly, what are my parents gonna say about all this? I was like, so I really held off on dropping out because I was so worried about what my parents were gonna say and what they were gonna do. Like, not like punish, but like just the disappointment. When parents are say, "Oh, I'm disappointed," everyone knows that's 20 times worse, 100 times worse. Let's be honest. So I held off on dropping out, but then it got to a point where there was a lot of family things going on in my life, and I felt directionless and I felt lost and I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just knew that I was in a career that I didn't want, and I was in school, which I also did not want to do. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had a job as a waitress and I was working at a gym as a fitness instructor. And, I was just living paycheck to paycheck, there with my family, spending my money on new gym fits and overpriced drinks. But I was happy. And then, I started to miss Arizona once I started to figure out what I wanted. But it took me living in Texas, and it took me going out there on my own without my parents, asking for their approval for everything. Like, oh, can I go stay the night? So I was more independent in a way. And so when I was in Texas, I started to feel that, like, okay, I'm not happy in Texas anymore. I think it's time for me to go, but where do I want to go? Because I necessarily didn't want to go back to college, but I also didn't, how do I put this? Like, I didn't want to be living paycheck to paycheck either. I wanted to have a career. And so I, again, took another trip to California. California, as you can tell, is my comfort place. I love it. It helps me just get at peace, and I feel I just belong there. So I took another trip to California, and this was for 2 weeks. And when I was out there, I stayed with my uncle, who then took me to a bunch of different campuses because I had already had this idea of what I kind of wanted to do, which was social media. I wanted to do social media, and I wanted to make my own clothing line because I was super into fashion. I still am really into fashion. So I went out to California, and he showed me all these colleges, and then we came. I swear it was a sign from God himself when I tell you guys that I had been arguing with my parents, and they were like, you know what, you should have stayed in college. You could have been in California right now, because I was crying because I wanted to be in California so bad. Like, you could have been in California right now doing online school, but I was like, I wasn't happy. I needed the break. I needed to figure out what I wanted. I didn't want to waste my time. And so I wanted to get to California so bad. And I was like, how am I going to do this? So we go and we check out FITM, which is a fashion school there in downtown Los Angeles. And what do you know? ASU had bought FITM 2 years prior. So now, as an Arizona resident, I get in-state tuition to go to ASU in Los Angeles. So imagine the loophole I discovered. And that was the funniest part, telling my parents, because they were like, what in the world? How did you make this happen? And I'm just like, I prayed enough. Let's just say that. So that's when I was like, you know what? I called up the school, and I was like, what do I need to do to start school? And they were like, just get here for classes on Monday. Mind you, it was Wednesday. My flight landed Thursday. I was like, I'm still in California, and I still need to go to Texas and pack up all my stuff and make it back to Arizona by Monday. So I was like, okay, you know what? Whatever. I got my scholarship back. I drove to Arizona straight through, and I started school because I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start. But I felt directionless and lost for the longest time. Even now, like, sometimes I feel lost because I'm like, is this really what I want to do? And I think about it, I'm like, yes, it is. And I think it's because it's such big dreams that people are like, oh, is that realistic? clothing that's so saturated, but at the end of the day, it's your life and you need to take control of it and not waste your time. Like I was saying earlier, just do what you want to do and do what makes you happy. So I ended up coming here back to Arizona, and I'm in school, and I'm now in school for fashion, and I have never been happier. I've never been happier. I'm learning how to save money and how to just do what I want and not give a care in the world. But it took me being directionless and lost for me to learn how to find a path, because you got to try different things in order to see what you like. It's like going into an ice cream shop. You sample out the different flavors, right? And then you find the one you like. Well, same thing with life. You try different things, and and then you find the one that you like, and you go for it full throttle, like go all in, right? And I think that's the only way to do it, honestly, because if you don't give your all into something, it's not going to give back to you. So that's what I feel about being directionless and lost. I think it's okay, and I think everybody needs to go through that in order to find a sense of direction. And it might not even be like a lit up clear path, like, oh, this is exactly what I want. No, but it's going to start hinting into what you truly want, because being directionless, it's where you start to learn how to be yourself. You start to learn how to listen to who you are and learn how to find yourself and listen to what you want and what your heart and your mind are telling you. So that's what I feel about directionless. I think everyone should go through it at some point in time, and I think it's very helpful. Another question that I got is, how do you stop caring about what people think? So I really like this question because I found it extremely difficult to stop caring what people thought. Even now, I still find it very difficult to stop caring. I think it's natural, it's human nature to care and search for some kind of acceptance from people. But, it takes a lot of work to just not care. And for the people who just from day one don't care and have no cares in the world about what people think, like, I applause to you, because wow, I wish I had that mindset from very early on. I would have been doing so much more if I did not care what people think, because wow. But I think the best thing for that is just accepting that if people don't like what you're doing, it's okay for them not to be in your life. You don't have to keep the same friends that you kept from elementary school or the same friends that you kept from high school. Like, if they don't support your growth and they don't support who you want to become and help inspire and nurture the version of yourself that you are becoming, I think that they're not the right people for you. And it's okay for that to happen and for you to drift apart from people who, are embarrassed to be around you, or, if they're like, oh, that's not what's trending. Like, yeah, I don't want to be trending. I don't want to follow the trends. Maybe I want to set them. So I think when you get into the mindset of just like accepting that you're never going to make people happy. You're never going to make everybody happy. Like, I don't even know how many people on this earth. There's like billions of people on this earth. I promise you, you will never make every single person happy. They're like, everyone's going to have an opinion, I mean, who cares? As long as you're happy, I think that's the only opinion that matters, is what you think. Because at the end of the day, you're the one who's living with yourself every single day, 24/7, around the clock. Are you happy with what you're doing? And are you happy with everything that is going on in your life? Like, don't care about what these people are thinking, because if they're sitting there hating on you, that means you're doing something right. Like, what better thing do they have to do than to just sit there and, judge. You know, I'd rather be personally judged than being someone who judges other people, because you know what? At least they are doing something. And that's the way I look at it. Stop caring about what people think, because you know what? Everyone is going to have an opinion, and you're just not going to make them happy. There's nothing more I can say about that. It's just being happy with yourself, and just being happy at where you're at, and accepting that sometimes friendships, they drift apart, and it's okay to let them go. So that's what I think about not caring about what people think. And what's helped me is, I have lost friendships. People come and go. Sometimes, our life is a book. People come for just chapters. They're not there to stay till the end. And when you do find those people that are there to stay for the long haul, that's when like, those are your people. You should never come back, feeling like, oh, did I say the right thing? Or was I funny enough? No, you should always just be happy to be yourself and not care, and know that, what? They still love me, and they still accept me. So just that's how I feel on that. And yeah, it's going to take some time. Like I said, even now I still struggle with this sometimes, starting social media, especially. It's like, you're putting yourself out there for the world to see, and you are putting yourself on a pedestal to get judged, but it's caring about what they say. And sometimes I'm like, oh, should I say that? And I'm like, you know what, if they don't like it, they don't gotta watch it. So that's where I'm at, and that's where I try and keep my mentality at. But of course I do have my slip ups where I'm like, I'm going to change this outfit. It's a little different, but it's a work in progress, and that's okay. Let's see. What else do we have here? I kind of already answered that one. Okay. How do you stop comparing your timeline to everyone else's? Okay, this is a great one. This is a real great one, because I definitely think that I do this a lot, especially being so young, and I see other people my age in penthouses and making over 100K, or making at least like $5,000 a month. And I'm like, how do you do that? Like, what are you doing? Am I doing something wrong? The answer is no. You're not doing anything wrong. Like, I think everyone's journey is different. Everyone's path is different. And you're going to get to where you need to go at your own pace and at your own time. It's not somebody else's time. So that's definitely something I struggle with, because I'm like, well, I just uploaded my first video a few months ago, and, it didn't get 1 million likes or 1 million views. And that's okay, because everybody who is somebody today started as nobody, So you gotta start from the bottom. But the best part about starting from the bottom is there's nowhere but up. There is nowhere but up. And, it takes 1 million times to fail and only one time to succeed. So that's what I keep telling myself, is like, okay, I am not that person. I don't want to be that person. I want to be my own person. So, my journey is different. My path is different. And I'm going to live through everything to get the outcome, that I'm supposed to have. So just ignore what they're doing, because it's not what you're meant to do. And comparing yourself to what they're doing is only going to make you feel worse. It's only going to make you feel worse. So just remembering that this is your life, and you're going to do what you need to do in your life. And, it's going to take some time. Who knows? Like, they could have started at 13 and you have no idea. They could have started 2 years ago, maybe even 2 weeks ago. You never know someone's true story or background. And that's what you have to remember as well, is like your story is not the same, your background is not the same as that person, you know? They, so it's just kind of realizing, yes, we're different, but I'm going to get there. And you're going to work hard. It is going to take a lot of work, but you're going to get there at your pace and at your time, and not to worry, because it will happen. If you are putting in the effort and the energy to succeed and accomplish the goals that you want, it will happen. Now, it's a lot of people that give up, that see themselves like, wow, why am I not there? It's the people who stay through the struggle that get there. So just remember that, like, you're going to have your ups and your downs, but to continue to pull through the whole way. If you really want it, you got to keep pushing for it and not care what people think and not compare yourself, because you know what? Comparing yourself takes time away from your goals. It takes time away from you. You sitting there and thinking about that person and romanticizing their life is taking away from you. You need to start romanticizing your life and seeing the bright side on your life and what's good about it. Okay. We're going to do a couple more questions before we end this episode. But don't worry, there will be more to come, because as you can tell, I am a yapper and I love to talk. Oh, this is another good one. Okay. So, I'm going to do these last two because I feel like they tie in together, but I'll do them together. No, actually, I'll do them separate. So, what's the best way to deal with pressure from parents or family? So, I was kind of talking about this earlier when I was talking about figuring out what I wanted to do and feeling directionless and finding my path. So, I definitely did have a lot of pressure from parents and family but here's the thing. On my dad's side, on my dad's side, they all are very successful, live in beautiful homes in California. But they didn't go to college. They have trades, they have skills, which is amazing. And, it's working for them. And I love it because they're very successful in their career and in their skill. Now, on my mom's side is where, of course, like I have a few of them did get trades and everything, but, they're more school oriented, if I can say that. And it's the same with my mom. My mom is very school oriented. My dad is more of like, get a trade, get a skill. And so, give me one moment. I'm going to my leg is starting to fall asleep. But yeah, so I guess I had a lot of pressure because my mom really wanted me to go to school. And she was like, go to school, get your basics. And so was my dad. He was like, go to school, get your basics. But I just wasn't feeling school at the time. But I ended up going. And, well, you guys already know how that turned up. I ended up dropping out anyways. But now I'm back in school. And now I'm really going full throttle for school because now I have a motivation. So I definitely think the pressure from parents and family, it's going to be hard, but don't let it bother you. Do not let it bother you, because it is, like I keep saying, it is your life. It is your decision on what you do with your life. But don't sit there and, not have any ambition for anything, because then, of course, like, if you just want to stay at home all day and lay in bed and watch TikToks and do nothing for the rest of your life, like, okay, yeah, like, I get it. If your parents are pressuring you, like, hey, go do something, like, something, anything. But, like, if you have a different goal or you want a different outcome or a different end game than what they want from you, go for it and prove them wrong. And be like, no, this is what I want to do. This is point A, B, and C of why I want to do it. And you know what? Come up with a somewhat of a plan of what you want to do to get there. Just to kind of take that pressure off, But sometimes I know that parents don't accept that. So it's really going to take you having the courage to just do it. Just do it. You know, everyone's going to have an opinion like I said. And if they want to put pressure on you about something, you know, if it's not making you happy, it's your life. It's really your life. And like at some point they're going to have to accept that. You know, but you have to accept it first. You have to accept that this is your life for other people to start accepting it. Because if you continue to allow yourself to be told what to do all the time, like I'm speaking about like, you know, going to college or, you know, being, you know, not when you're like in middle school and you're like, oh, I'm not going to do what my mom told me to do. No. If you're in middle school or you're still under your parents' roof, fully supported by them, and you know, they're telling you, hey, like do this, like okay. But if you're starting to get to that young adult age where you're figuring out what you want to do with your life, go for it. That's all I can say. Just go for it. Accept that this is what you want to do and accept that, you know, they're not going to be happy about it, but the most important thing is you're going to be happy. And that's truly what's important, is do what makes you happy. And now the final question, and like I had said, it is tied into this one, is, let me find it. How do you balance being independent with still needing help sometimes? So again, I can definitely relate to this because even though I was in Texas and I was more independent because I wasn't with my parents at the time, I was still dependent on certain things, you know, like they still pay for my health insurance and, you know, they still help me with my car, like, and, you know, I was still living with family down there. So to some extent, like, I wasn't fully independent paying all of my bills by myself. But I think the way that I balance that is, you know, they're giving, and so you got to give back something. So something when I came back was I was struggling with, okay, I'm under my parents' roof now. So now I still ask about things like, hey, can I go do this? Or, hey, I'm going to be home late. And of course, they're way more lenient than when I was in high school. But it's different because they know that I'm pursuing something to better myself and to get myself further in life. And so they're willing to help because, you know, it's that support. It's that support that you're getting, and it's okay to ask for help because, you know, if you need it, you need it. And it's not a bad thing. I think we got to put the pride aside and, you know, like, yes, you are independent because I think independence is you're making your own decisions even when they're tough. You know, I feel like that's when you start becoming independent and you start, you know, when you make those tough decisions and, you know, you're not relying on your parents for everything. Like, if you want to go get in and out, go get in and out. Like, stuff like that. You're making your own income. You know, you're supporting yourself to some extent, but if you still need help on certain things, I think that's totally normal and totally okay. And it's just, you know, everyone's different. Everyone's family dynamic is different and where they're asking for help. But I think if you're pursuing something and you're really like going towards something and you're working at it so hard and you're putting everything you have in it, getting a little bit of help is not a bad thing. Well, that is going to be the final question of tonight, and we are going to end this episode. But again, like I said, there is more to come, and this is all my unprofessional advice and all my unfiltered opinions. Please do not take it seriously. Please do not take it to heart. You know, I'm just speaking from my experiences, what I have personally gone through, and what I think could possibly help someone else in the future. or right now, if this is something you're going through right now, and just realizing that you're not alone. Well, hopefully I see you guys for another episode of Get Real With It, with again me being your host. And if you want to send in any questions on things, I would be more than happy to answer and give you my unprofessional advice and my unfiltered opinions on all the topics.